welcome to Chatter 15 Minutes of Fame. I am your host, Claron Sharif, and my co-host, the Danielle Ward. Today, we have a very special guest, and our topic is when and why do you need an acting coach? Should you have an acting coach? Our special guest is Mr. Harold Dennis. I call him the man with over 200 film credits. Welcome, Harold.
Thank you.
Tell
Good
us
to
a little.
see your face.
Oh, yes. It's been a long time. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So please tell us a little bit about yourself. I want the audience to know how accomplished you are.
Oh, thank you. Well, I started in 1997. I started off here in Chicago doing extra work because, I didn't realize they were doing all of that filming here until I saw my high school band teacher, John Watson Sr. in the movies. He was in The Fugitive, Groundhog Day, Soul Food, the movie. If you remember Soul Food, he was Uncle Pete, the old man that came out with the money at the end. I was like, Mr. Watson's in the movies. He's a band teacher and a trombone player. How did he do that? He doesn't live on the coast. He lives right here in Chicago. I was like, well, if he can do it, I could do it. Because this was always a pipe dream in the back of my head, like, growing up as a kid, I'm going to play sports, be in a band. I did a play in second grade and forgot my lines. I was like, nah, I ain't going to do that. And so, yeah. So I was in the band all 4 years, and by the senior year, the seniors did a play, and I'm like, when did that happen? I would have did that if I'd known about it. And so anyway, that was gone. I went to college, played as Kappa, and I was like, I didn't want to do anything else except be a Kappa, and live in the house. And so even with the acting, one of my ships was acting, and I was like, oh, yeah. He was doing it for law school, though, taking acting classes. And so anyway, years later, when I saw Mr. Watson in those movies, I was like, wait a minute, I remember that feeling. I can do it. And so then I started doing extra work. I heard an ad on B96 on the radio, be an extra in the movies, be an extra in the movies, So I wrote it down. And next thing you know, I was a featured extra on an early edition, a show that used to come on CBS. And I was like, they're doing all of this. What is this studio warehouse they're filming? Look at all of that equipment. I was like, wow, they're doing it right here. And so that was the beginning. And then I wanted speaking lines, and my buddy said, well, why don't you take an acting class? So by September, I was in beginning and advanced acting over at ETA on the South Side. And I did that for a school year. But February of this next year, 98, while I'm still in classes, some of the students and my buddy Kenny and some actors around the city, we met in his basement, my basement, and another guy's basement every Saturday morning from 10 to 2 for a year, working on honing our abilities while I was in those two classes. And I was like, yeah, I jumped in with both hands and both feet. And then I got involved in a play back in 1998. October was opening. We were going to do 2 nights, 2 Saturdays, October 2nd and 9th, I think it was. And we ended up running that show, and I left after 171 shows. I had the lead, and it was a blues musical called I Was There When the Blues Was Red Hot. 9 o'clock showtime, free to get in, $10 to get out. So I left that show June of 2000. And so I did all of that before 2000. Once I found out, you could do it, I was like, where's the work? And, I was running around just a co-wrote over at ETA, former co-wrote Harold Johnson. He used to say, you got to feel it. And so I ran around for 6 years just feeling it, being passionate. If you be passionate with the other actor, it'll radiate back and forth across the stage and the audience will feel it, And so I did that for about 6 years. And then I got with Ted Sarantos in January of 2004. And his motto was, I don't care if you feel it, just make sure the audience feels it. I was like, okay, how you do that? And so I spent 18 years with him, and, the reason I spent 18 years was because I didn't pay, when I sat in on his class, I audited his class back in 03. He was filming the actors. Early 03, filming the actors, and he says, nose to the camera, smiling eye, talk to the microphone, energy out. And back in 03, I was like, I need that inside. I was like, I knew I needed that because I'm running around feeling it, but I needed that. And he'd record the actors on the VHS tape during the monologues. And so he says, take it home and watch it a minimum of 3 times, because the first time you're like, oh, that was horrible. The second time you're like, oh, that was horrible. The third time you're like, oh, I see what he's talking about, you know? And so I did that, got with him January 04. He said 3 hours of class, 3 hours of work. So I worked every Wednesday afternoon. I was there from like noon till 6 p.m. for years, doing whatever, cleaning toilets, mopping the floor, editing, a little editing, washing windows, passing out flyers, whatever you needed. So I did that. And during that time back in 18 years. So in 2011, I did the Meisner at Green Shirt level 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, which was an awesome experience because I always wanted to know what Meisner was. And sat in workshops all these years, just go sit in 3-hour workshops because I just wanted knowledge. I wanted to be the best I can be. And with the acting troupe, that's what we wanted to do, hone our abilities back in '98. And we were just passionate, the passion. And so after that first class at ETA, I was like, I'm going to do this the rest of my life. And so here I am 26 years later running.
In the game.
And still happy and excited.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it. I love that. All right.
Oh, I didn't say, yeah, I've got the 200, I did say 200 IMDB acting credits, a little over that, and other credits. And and I teach. I've been teaching. The first time was after I started studying with Ted Sarantos in 04. I was at this Robert Townsend cattle call on the west suburbs, and we were in line for like 11 hours. And this one guy, he was like, well, we're talking mad stuff. He said, show me what you're talking about. And so I showed him intending dream scene, which is intentions, opposites, playing the opposites at the same time, and secrets and statements and all of these things. And he went into the room with his group of people, and his sister went with him. And when he came out the room, she says, I don't know what you told him, but that was the best I've ever seen him do. And that was at an audition, and that was back in 2004. I was like, wow, I can teach what Ted Sarantos is showing me. And for me, studying with him for just 4 months every week, and so here it is. I'm currently teaching his techniques, those things that I just talked about, plus others, and then I'll bring something in from Meisner and everywhere else, books I've read, story by Robert McKee, just things. So I feel like it's intuitive at this point. I taught at Second City for a couple years. I keep going, man.
Okay.
Acting on camera, but yeah.
Okay.
Real quick, Danielle, I forgot to mention. I forgot to ring the bell, y'all.
Uh-oh.
All right, go right ahead.
Okay. All right. So our first question for you, Sensei Harold, when should actors walk away? When should they walk away? Is there a time that they should say, you know what, I've been doing this a while, I'm not where I want to be in my career, I'm gonna just throw in the towel?
Well, I'm going to say this a couple of times while we're talking here. Harry Lennox said, acting is a learned skill. So it means pretty much if you capable, you can learn how to act, And so it just depends on where people are on that level, because some people are so spent so many years doing it. Why quit? And new people, they may get in here and sit in an acting class. We talked about this, Claron, and realize, you know what, this is more work than I thought. Let me just go back to my job. This isn't just saying lines and crying. Saying lines and being angry, it's things going on in the back of a working head, and then there's the life side of things. You got this side, and then you have life, and we all know how the new thing is lifing occurs. Bills, mortgage, car note, credit cards, children, grandchildren. Sometimes life can be overwhelming. And this turns out to be, I thought I was going to do this, but this is more important. And so, you have to, everyone has to make that decision when it's time. Like for me personally, this has happened so bad. But I started acting when I was later. I didn't start when I was like 20, 21. I started later and I was like, I'm going to do this the rest of my life. So as I'm doing this, I'm still doing this. And so it is, I should have quit a long time. I shouldn't have, but I could have quit a long time ago. But I'm still here. So, it's up to the individual to decide what they want to deal with. Because pretty much I just dropped out of life for years to do this, Yeah.
Okay. So, have you ever had students or actors who were very difficult to coach? And if so, what did you do?
The answer to the first question is yes. Uh, two come to mind specifically, but I'm sure there's been more. Yeah, there have been more. Yeah, now that I think about it. What happens is at some point they come around. Not everybody though.
Mhm.
You know what? That is not true because, like I said, if it's a learned skill, people can find their niche
Mm,
character.
mhm.
They're one that they can do so good that there it is. Now they're acting. They can get pigeonholed. What is that other word for it?
Typecast?
Typecast.
Mhm.
They can get, and that's who they are, and they can be very happy with it because it was difficult. It has been difficult to teach them to be multi-dimensional and layered and those types of things. And so I've worked with some people. I says, okay, I'm sitting back. What's missing? What's missing? Okay, you know who you remind me of? You remind me of Sidney Poitier. You remind me of Robert De Niro. You remind me of Forrest Whitaker. You remind me of Rodney Dangerfield. Just do Rodney. Just he's passed on. Just do Rodney. Do Rodney. Just make that your secret. I'm
Mm.
Rodney Dangerfield, and go with that. There you go. Now you have your thing. While you're working on statements and delivery and things like that, just keep that secret in the back of your head. Ted Sarantos told me years ago, because I said I do this all the time. He's like, I'm feeling it. Harold, he grabbed me right here and said, Harold, relax, relax. Stop tensing your face. And so now I can be tense without that. And then, I think I used to be up here a whole lot while talking and acting, and I don't know, maybe not. But he says, Harold, let me give you a secret. Think James Earl Jones. So that, I've been thinking James Earl Jones for so many years that it allows me to bring my tone down while communicating on stage in film. And so this works for me because he says the lower octave has more resin and there's a possibility to put feelings out and have people feel something from the resin in your lower octaves. And so yeah, there are other people who are difficult to coach, but they spend the time, they put the work in. It's taken almost at least 6 months with a couple people, but then all of a sudden there's that breakthrough.
Mm.
And so it definitely can happen. It's a learned skill.
Okay. I'm gonna throw a little extra question on it, if you don't mind. Um,
Mm.
have you had any students that thought that they were better than you and wanted to show you up in class?
Mm.
Uh, no, but I probably hurt some feelings. No, I haven't had that. But people, I push boundaries. I used to push a little too hard, like I was explaining. Early on, I'm attempting to get more now. After every one of my workshops, I used to say I won't stop until you make me feel something. And sometimes I get a chill because you follow directions. I'm like, oh, that was great. Or a tear my eyes will well up because you were so passionate and you were doing the intending dream scene and the opposites. You might have had that secret, and you're making statements and jazzing up the phrases, you know. And so I'm like, wow, they're doing it. I might get a heart palpitation. This stuff happens. And so I'd push until I got something. And so these 2 hour, 3 hour classes I was doing years ago would run 4 hours. You know, you're gonna make me feel something.
Wow.
But now, what was the question again? Oh, and so, but then I remember one of my buddies. He had been studying with me for so long, actor. At one point, I had to stop on Zoom and say during the pandemic, "Wait a minute, this is my workshop." I, I forgot what he. I was like, "Wait, no, this is my workshop." While he was still talking, we were trying not to talk to each other. And so anyway, he's taken off too. He's been on some TV shows now and things. And so yeah, he says he tells everybody, yeah, when they say, "How did you get so Harold Dennis?" You know.